I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, December the 12th, where there's several of us suffering from the red eye due to the rodeo. National finals going on out in Las Vegas. I've often called that the unofficial cattlemen's convention. You probably get more real cattlemen at that than you will any of the others. But a lot of guys out there, a lot of guys missing in the sales, especially in your feedlots, some management missing there. If you guys were like me, you thought when it was time to plan the trip, you thought, well, shoot, I'll just save the money this year. It seems like I just got back the other day. And you feel pretty good about that until you start watching it at night and you think, dang, I kind of wish I was out there. It is pretty fun, but then you get to thinking about having to tromp all those cowboy Christmases and all those booths and everything. They got the same stuff in the same spot every year. And you think, well, you know, I can skip one of these every year or so. But anyways, every night that's been coming on, be 10 nights in a row, and most all of us that are in this livestock business, involved in commercial cattle, we like the rodeo and enjoy watching that. But it comes on just late enough that you can't resist starting to watch it, and you can't make it through it, but you try. Even though we can DVR it, most of us know how to figure that out now. It's hard to lay down and go to sleep knowing that it's going on, and then you can't make it through it. But if you guys are out there, and maybe some of you guys are watching me out in Las Vegas, I hope you guys are having a good time. If you're making it to the rodeo, take some WD-40 and spray it on that rope and shoot, would you? I'm not sure what's going on there, but let's look at the board on Tuesday. December live cattle futures up 80 cents to end the day at 118.37. February up 95 at 122.15. Your feeder cattle trade up good. January up 227 at 147.30. March up 215 at 144.90. Not sure if any of this positive reaction in the board is coming from the big harvest that we had last week that come through. Probably just doesn't have anything to do with that. Has more to do with squiggly lines on the charts and the trade and other commodities. But anyway, we'll take the positive reaction from the board. Your fat cattle trade has been very quiet. Thankfully this week they did have a little bit of trade on Tuesday, but I'm not going to get onto them too bad. It was positive. Iowa sold some cattle 117. They're getting closer to where the Southern Plains peers were, and even the guys further to the west of them. But some 117, some 187. Starting to hear that maybe those regional packers are kind of getting fairly aggressive for this early in the week and chasing some cattle a little bit out there and not just giving them the brush off. But who knows, even leading into a much slower week kill buying for next week, and then the week after, of course, it's going to be a lot lighter change speeds than what we're dealing with here lately. And as we lead into the big holidays, it's definitely going to get harder and harder to sell fat cattle up until we get over the hump into the new year, and then they'll be looking for a lot of cattle to get started going again, because they're gonna have several sessions that they're gonna have to be shut down due to the holidays falling just into the week after the weekends, and not sure how everybody's gonna handle that, but there's gonna be some definite holiday interruptions in our slaughter. Box beef cutout values on Tuesday anyway. Pay attention to these quotes. They're pretty darn good despite the uneven trade. But choice cuts on Tuesday afternoon, 214.46. That was down 96 cents, but still awfully respectable. And your select cuts up well over $200 at 201.39, up 45. Your slaughter's running good so far this week, so I think we will maybe squeeze one more good week out of things. 241,000 so far this week through Tuesday. That's up 1,000 from last week and up 7,000 from the same week a year ago. Your feeder cattle markets and your feeder calf markets are much improved as we start working into the week this week. Your Monday sales, we weren't sure how they were going to be in comparison, but and they were fairly light compared, especially to last week, and a lot of uncertainty with the weather over the weekend. So maybe guys didn't get their plans made to get their cattle rounded up to get them into the sale. But as we're working into the week now, we went into some Tuesday sales, talked to several guys, and several of the guys that I was with last week when I was up on my northern Missouri auction tour there. But several of the guys saying that it's just much better this week. The receipts aren't as heavy. The weather's slightly improved, even though they're suffering through it out the mid-Atlantic there in parts of the southeast, and a lot of things shut down out that way. But this week hasn't been too awful bad in the meat of the country up through the central third of the United States, where most of our cattle marketing has been done. But just a lot better attitudes, more orders coming in, and just kind of a better trade going on so far this week as we work through. So it's your biggest market there, OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma, had less than 2,500 head this Tuesday, compared to well over 7,000 head of calves last week. So and the heck of it is, last week we had all those program calves. Mostly larger packages of them, mostly all long time weaned, health programs and everything. This week we returned to just a regular old sale, and our market's better. The weaned calves $2 to $4 higher this week. Not to say that the ones they had this week were not as good as the ones they had last week, but just didn't have quite as much paperwork going with them. But we're not going to have as big a bunches, as many uniform groups as you had last week, but still lighter receipts, and guys can have to get a little bit more aggressive with the orders they have to get their loads filled, and $2 to $4 higher on weaned calves is pretty darn good. It's hard to gauge, and they didn't on balling calves, especially this late in the year. If you still got a balling calf, you just know that your cattle are going to sell at a significant discount to what the weaned calves are. And the bigger the bunch, the bigger the run, the worse it's going to be, like last week. But this week, pretty darn good trade there at this calf sale at OKC West. You look at the market report from Cattle Market Central, the automated report that comes through there. Look at your weights and weighted averages, and even price changes on several of your popular weights there. It looks pretty good, especially on light calves, quite a bit higher. But your most well represented weights on steers, your 5-weight steers, 459 head of them, average 540 pounds at 156.79. It's about $2.50 higher on a weighted average. So that goes right along with the trend that we had, $2 to $4 higher. On your heifer, popular weight, 5 weights, 345 head of 5-weight heifers, average right at 5.5 at 131.28, and that was up a little over $2.50. So pretty darn good trade there, and just lighter runs everywhere. Most of your sales kind of shot their wad last week, and it's hard for a lot of sales to have 2 giant runs back to back, but just lighter runs around everywhere. Place they did have a good run last week and another good run this week, Kingsville Livestock Auction, but they had several bigger feeder cattle in there, and they had some kind of short yearling cattle there. 3 loads of them. Jimmy Long sent me the information on, and I'm glad to get it there. Weighed 790 to 860 pounds. Good black cattle there in a fair condition. Bring 156 to 158.10, and the lighter ones were not the 158.10. It was a load that weighed around 830 pounds. But pretty good quotes there on some yearling feeder cattle. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.